Welcome to the Irish Expat Podcast. In today's episode, we'll be covering our first Amalfi Coast destination, Salerno. We'll be chatting about why we chose Salerno, exploring the Amalfi Coast, transport accommodation, food and fun, our value for money, and some overall tips if you're planning on visiting Salerno or the Amalfi Coast in Italy. Hi, I'm Jane.
And I'm Cormac.
And welcome to the Irish Expat Podcast. We've been on the road for 6 months travelling the lengths and breadths of Italy.
Season 1 is all about our 6-week holiday from the southern city of Naples to Lake Garda in the north.
We'll be giving our best tips and tricks and talking about our highlights and mistakes.
And how we've ended up moving to Florence.
Make sure you're subscribed, and if you like this episode, then please give us a 5-star rating. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at altlivin and find out more about us on altlivin.com. Well, welcome, Cormac.
Hello there.
Our first Amalfi Coast episode.
Yeah, the sunny side of Italy.
Very exciting. So, could be said our last episode was about Naples, so not technically on the Amalfi Coast, but you probably have to fly in there if you're going to the Amalfi Coast.
The main airport, I believe, is to fly into Naples and then go to the Amalfi, no?
Yeah, so I'd highly suggest, if you listen to our Naples episode, if you did not, then we'd highly suggest staying there for a night or two before you hit the Amalfi Coast. Yep. But today is all about Salerno.
Sunny Salerno.
So how many times have we been to Salerno and for how long?
We've been there twice in total.
Yeah.
Let's say it was a total of 6 nights.
Yeah, I'd say so. And why did we go to Salerno?
Because it's class.
It is pretty class.
It's pretty class. No, we went to Salerno because I used to work with my friend in England. He was from Salerno originally, Emanuele, and he suggested it to us. And yeah.
Also, we wanted to go and stay in Positano, but we did not have the money for that.
No.
Positano is like a really beautiful seaside town that has all the coloured buildings. You probably recognise it from online or Instagram or whatever. Also, I think Kourtney Kardashian got married there.
Oh, yeah.
But so we could not afford to go to Positano. So we said we'd go and stay in Salerno, which is kind of technically like the first or the last town on the Amalfi Coast. It's actually quite like it's a city. It's not
it's a nice city. It's kind of semi-touristy, but a lot of locals and the kind of old retired Italians we noticed when we were there. So It's a nice mix. It's a really kind of casual city.
Yeah, so it's a really up-and-coming city as well. So I'd say my advice would be that if you want to go to Italy and explore the Amalfi Coast, I would get in this summer, if not next summer, because
this summer for sure, yeah.
The amount of building that's going to be taking place come this year. We saw so many planning permissions, even I do go on the owl rental and buy in websites sometimes to look at my dream accommodation. And our dream accommodation, excuse me. But the amount of buildings that are about to be built in Salerno is outrageous. So I'd say it's really going to burst with tourism over the next couple of years. So get in there now.
Get in there now. As soon as you can.
Just a little explanation on the Amalfi Coast. So it's just kind of like a big jet of land that goes out into the Amalfi. And there's a bunch of famous cities/towns that line the Amalfi. I think it's only about 40 kilometers in length or maybe 80 kilometers in length, but to drive it's near impossible.
Yeah.
It's really, really difficult to get from town to town unless you're doing boats. And even if you rent a car, apparently you can only drive on certain days given your registered number plate, and they will also be clamping down on the number of cars that can drive. It's very, very narrow roads on a cliffside. So if you're a nervous driver,
not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
No, not when you have every single type of vehicle, motorcycles on your side of the road,
huge buses driving
all
past
coming towards you. No, not the greatest.
So I'd recommend if you are town hopping around the Amalfi Coast to get a boat because they're cheap as chips and they go every 15-20 minutes.
They go whenever they want and it doesn't matter which one you're on.
They all go in the same direction. Yeah.
We will discuss this.
So we went initially, it was our second town that we hit on our 6-week kind of trip around Italy, but then we also went back once we had settled in Florence.
Yeah, because the first time we went to Salerno, Jane had just, I think, randomly found it. There's a nearby town, and I recognised it as well, not realising that my friend was from there until the second time, and he invited us to visit him there.
Yeah, and so the second time we had a local guide bring us around, which was really helpful.
Yeah, he was saying hello to every single restaurant and bartender that walked past.
He was like a famous person, in fairness. So yeah, we're going to give all of our recommendations based on both experiences. So yeah, I guess we'll just get into it.
Jump right into the sunny Salerno.
So our transport, we had extremely easy transport to get there. We got on a train from Naples. Really, really cheap. I think we paid like less than €12 for the 2 tickets, but we were meant to be going to Pompeii. So Pompeii is kind of a midpoint between Naples and Salerno. So our whole plan was to jump on the train in Naples and then go and tour Pompeii for the day and then get the train to Salerno. I think it takes under an hour.
It was 45 minutes, I think.
Yeah, so we were going to do 20-minute train, go to Pompeii, 20-minute train, get to Salerno, but it was absolutely Baltic. No, not Baltic, roasting.
Roasting, yeah, the opposite.
Sorry.
So if Baltic, we would have survived. It would have been brilliant.
Yeah, no, it was going up over 40 degrees.
Yeah, and I think we were hungover as well, and we just did not want to suffer.
We had partied pretty hard in Naples the night before.
My sister warned me that it's a lot of walking and there's only like a few restaurants and stuff there, so it's just you're in the sun all day long.
Yeah, so I would not recommend doing that. But if you are planning on going to Naples or Salerno, Pompeii is only 15-20 minutes away. So just to bear that in mind. And then you can also get to Salerno by ferry. So you can get, I think it's an hour from Naples to Salerno by ferry. It's kind of like around the far side of the inlet. So they'd be stopping off in all the towns. So it actually would be a really nice ferry if you weren't planning on going to the rest of the Amalfi Coast, because you get to see it all.
You see it all anyway, but it's going in the opposite direction, I think, then. So you wouldn't be seeing all the towns. But you see most of them, in fairness.
Yeah. So even if you wanted to do like a hop on, hop off day, where you just like tour or walked around some of the towns, that'd be really nice. But yeah, there's trains and ferries. Also to bear in mind with transport, there are taxis in Naples. So in the back of some of the taxis, or probably all the taxis, they list out kind of like the famous Amalfi towns. So like Amalfi, Sorrento, Salerno. And I think they were only charging €100 to get to Salerno.
Yeah, the ones I seen the other day were like 80, 89 for the nearest town, then 90. And they kind of all went up by a tenner in price for, well, not per kilometre, but for town by town. So they're not too bad if you're,
if there was a group before you or a family or something, and you just wanted to have a private car and maybe stop off somewhere.
25 quid each, like it'd be worth it for one of the longer trips, that's for sure, because you can fly on the road.
But we found the trains like super easy, and there's trains going all day, every day. So trains much cheaper. Car might be nicer. Maybe a nice little, but
train's just as handy.
Yeah, it's just as handy, and it's not a coastal drive by any means. They won't be bringing you along the Amalfi if you were going from Naples to Salerno. So it's not as if you'll get to drive the whole Amalfi Coast. They'd be bringing you a lot shorter way.
The trains are really no hassle, because you have an assigned seat, and the Italian culture really respects it here. You sit in your seat, and that's it. I don't think we've been asked once to move or anyone robbing our seats like they wouldn't a near no there and back home.
Yeah, no, they're they really
take it seriously here. It's great.
Yes. Now we did go the first time we went to Salerno. We did end up going. It was kind of at the tail end of COVID.
There were still masks on trains.
There were still masks on trains, but there isn't anymore. And then to get from Florence, I'd say it would take about 4 hours to get to Salerno from Florence. So 3 hours to Naples.
3 minutes to Naples, and then 45. So 2.5 hours.
So, but yeah, if you're down the south at all, Salerno is really, really accessible. So. So do you want to talk about our accommodation?
Yeah, so Airbnb the first time we went. So we were staying in the far side of the town from the train station, but in the centre, just away about 5-10 minute walk from the beach, which was really nice.
Yeah, old part of town.
Old part of town, old Salerno, yeah. And the accommodation itself was basically, how to describe it? It was a step down into the double room, but had a kitchen at the back and a nice bathroom. Very clean, I have to say.
On the ground floor, but it was like...
It was like a big double bed, but it was a couch bed, but like a big double one. And we called it the cave.
Yes.
Because the aircon was the best thing about it, and the lack of windows was fabulous.
Yes. We will be doing a top tips episode, but get aircon if you're going to Italy.
Every single accommodation. But the absolute joy of being slightly below ground level and having no windows, that place was the bomb diggity at night.
It was fab.
So yeah, no, really happy with that. The guy had no English, but we managed to get the check-in kind of done, and that's the thing with the all the accommodations in Italy. The check-ins can be very different, and the people in the Airbnb will have absolutely no English, but
and
have your passports and stuff ready, and the usual stuff. And
yeah, even if you book through booking.com or Airbnb or whatever it is, obviously if you're a tourist coming from a different country, you'd have your passport or ID anyway, but they need a copy of your ID, and you need to pay a Caperto charge every night, which they usually take in cash. It's not a scam.
No, the city tax for the night charge is in every single venue. They have to charge it, but you will always you have to pay at the venue. You can't pay online beforehand. You have to pay through their system. So
yeah, they're not trying to scam you, but just have a bit of change or a bit of cash with you, because they don't have card machines. Otherwise, you'll just have to wait with them.
We've paid about an ATM. From €4 to €6 a night. One place I think was €8 a night, depending on where we were.
So just be warned that you will get an extra charge in most places in Italy when you're staying the night. And then accommodation 2, when we revisited, we were still staying kind of near Old Town, to be fair.
We were only around the corner from our last place, literally by 2 streets. So we knew the area really well, which was great. The second place was mad. It was an indoor apartment complex on about 4 different levels. Big stairs down into the sitting room, then back down more stairs into the kitchen. And the bedroom was off in a corner with a window out into the inside of the apartment, which was completely sealed. It wasn't like it was an outdoor.
It was kind of bizarre.
It was bizarre, but we loved it.
Multi-level apartment, yeah.
It was the same as kind of the cave, because it was like really nice and cold in the bedroom when the window was closed. So, but it was lovely. And it was, what was the price on that one? It was...
So overall, our accommodation in Salerno was extremely cheap. Yeah. The first place that we stayed, it came to €58 a night. And then the second place that we stayed in, it was just over 70 when you included the overnight charge. But accommodation in Salerno, even in the height of summer, you can get places for €60 or less a night, a whole apartment to yourself.
Yeah.
And that was us booking it again 2 weeks before we left.
2 weeks before. So if you do a bit of pre-booking a month or two in advance, you'd be absolutely laughing.
Yeah. So,
and most of the places, I have to say, even the cheapest places we've had, have actually had an espresso machine. Because the Italians just love coffee in the kitchen, which I found kind of great on the hangover. Just get the Nespresso down and then go out for a proper Italian coffee afterwards.
Yeah, no, and they were full apartments as well. So just again, most places in Italy, it doesn't matter if you go through booking.com, Airbnb, anything like that. And we'll leave links. We have an Excel sheet on our website. We'll link it around the podcast wherever you find it. So we have an Excel sheet that you can download that has a list of all the accommodation that we stayed in. So if you want to book that. But no matter where you stay, it's kind of all half hotel, half apartment, half B&B kind of.
I'll meet you on a bridge. I'll meet you at the train station. I'll collect you in my car. I'll
it's always
the keys in the lockbox.
It's always a bit hectic. But just to bear in mind that Salerno is like kind of like an old sleepy seaside town, and that they generally won't have any English, so have Google Translate with you.
Ready to go, yeah. They do the same. They actually, most of the ones we've had have actually the official app that you pay for the translation, and they just use that for us, which is great.
Yeah.
They're so accommodating as well down in Salerno. I think like every host we had and Airbnb, accommodation, restaurant staff were so lovely.
So lovely. Just one more note on the accommodation as well is that there are a lot of hotels that are kind of like on the beach or just right across from the beach. But the hotels are actually up past the train station on the other side, and they're quite far removed from the old town. So I just really wouldn't suggest staying there, because you kind of feel like in that area that you could be anywhere.
Yeah.
You have to walk such a long way to get to kind of like the old restaurant days.
But it's just one massive paved boulevard with new chains, with fancy shops, and it's not old town. It doesn't have the same feel. It's lovely, but it's probably like a mile long, or it's a pretty long stretch.
There's no additional, like they don't really have pools there or anything like that, so there's no benefit really to staying there. And the 2 really nice public beaches that we found were up on the other side as well, so just try and stay up by the old town. It's a little bit of a walk from the train station, maybe 20 minutes, but that's where you're going to be the majority of the time anyway. If you want the traditional
atmosphere and the restaurants and the bars, totally worth it.
Now we'll move on to food, and I'm going to take Cormac. I'm going to let Cormac take over this section
because I'm obsessed with food. Salerno, being on the coast, is obviously very famous for fish. So recommend, like, all the restaurants there will have sea bass and calamari, squids. It's absolutely beautiful. So the restaurants we went to, I think the first one that we picked out was absolutely incredible. We had a black truffle pasta with the sea bass and spinach main course, and we had the first course was deep fried arancini balls.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, lads! Like that was number one restaurant in the entire
trip. It's been our favorite restaurant in Italy.
Yeah, apart from one in Rome that's close.
Oh yeah,
but the two of those stand out.
Yeah, so it's called Pisteria Restaurant, so kind of essentially just fish restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a beautiful kind of little in between two buildings, and it was really good service.
Cute courtyard,
little courtyard area, but like the food was fresh and absolutely divine. We tried a speciality there, which was fresh aubergines on crostini with a traditional like hollandaise, like not a hollandaise, but like a butter sauce. Oh, it's a speciality of Salerno, and it's absolutely incredible. It'll be on the menu everywhere you go, even for a small tapas bite.
Mm-hmm.
We recommend the Emanuel Cafe for that. And yeah, the second place we went then with the second time we were there was with an Emanuele,
who literally looked like he worked in the restaurant.
Yeah. So relating to fish, in there we had fresh razor clams caught that very morning on the beach
by the chef,
by the guys who run the restaurant. Yeah. So we were extremely lucky because they knew Emanuele well. So yeah, as you say, he was walking around like he knew the place. It was like the Sopranos. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was a lot pricier, that restaurant, I will say.
Yeah, no, it was more expensive modern fine dining, but oh my god.
You're saving on the accommodation.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah. You're staying in some weird inside-outside apartment or a cave. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Then the other place was... I think you briefly mentioned it, but what's it called? The Embarcadero Bar?
Yeah, I thought it read as like Embarcado Bar, but I had no idea. I just seen it. I was like,
we'll link it in that Excel sheet. Yeah.
So it's a little like raised here, overhanging the ocean, little bar right off the public beach. That is absolutely beautiful.
Every time you get a drink, they serve you like a whole plate, like a whole starter worth of food for free.
Not the shitty olives, the crisps, and like the usual peanuts. We were getting mini bruschettas, arancini balls, and like these biscotti biscuits.
Yeah.
With every single drink. And we had our ocean right underneath us, our back to a beautiful view.
Yeah.
Sitting at a bar counter.
I know. Sure, if you were to sit there for a few drinks, you wouldn't be going for dinner. Do you know?
Oh God, no!
You'd be fed.
Stuffed. Yeah, you just keep drinking. That's how they get you, love. That's how they get you.
What was the name of the cocktail bar that we went to then?
That was the Emanuel Cafe.
Oh, the Emanuel Cafe, yeah.
That had the anchovies there as well. Yeah, the cocktails were absolutely sensational.
Really, really nice.
Staff were amazing.
Yeah, and then the other place I wanted to talk about it's actually kind of like it's like a port, or it's like where you can go and get a ferry.
It has a little cafe on the outside.
Yeah, it's called like the Oyster Building, essentially, because the whole building is in a massive shape of an oyster if you look at it from a sky view, but it has the most amazing views. Really, I thought it would be so beautiful for a wedding. Oh my god!
Yeah, it was an amazing venue.
Yeah,
like the views.
Absolutely stunning. But again, you get like a little glass of prosecco there for €4. Brought you out a big plate of food. Like really, really good service there, and just very chill.
Yeah, we were just relaxed. Like we were waiting on we weren't even waiting on anything. We were taking shade from the sun on the other side of the oyster. It was great.
So yeah, the whole building has great shade there. So
it's a wraparound like covered balcony. So it's just absolutely
sea views the whole way. Yeah. So I'm going to take over the fun category.
Oh, here we go.
So I will say the second time that we went, we found, obviously with Emanuele, he showed us like that there's a lot of kind of fun nights out places to go to. There are late bars. There's a really cool square that you can, it's kind of like 4 bars all go onto this one square.
All on one square. It's where all the young people party at night, and it's a really cool atmosphere.
Yeah, so it's not just like sleepy seaside town. There are young people that party there.
Yeah, it's a lovely atmosphere. It's like a calmer kind of version of Naples. It's like they took a couple of streets of Naples, put it in Salerno, and it's a really just fun party.
But I'm going to talk about the big thing, which was the boat. So we got to, it's obviously all on the seaside. There's loads of public beaches and there's loads of docking as well. But you can rent a private boat even without a boat license.
Yep.
So up to a certain size in Italy, tourists can just rent boats.
Yeah, so the law down there was it's a 2 kilometer from the coastline. That's as far as you were allowed to go with that specifically sized boat with no license.
And there was buoys marking the whole way.
Yeah.
So I just saw it through TripAdvisor. Again, it's linked in that Excel. I found it through TripAdvisor. I couldn't believe it. It was €180 for 8 hours.
It was one of Jane's most beautiful finds of the entire holiday, like genius finds. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a scam immediately.
Yeah.
She was like, we're getting a boat for this price. It's like, no way, Jose.
So number one, I wanted to go and see Positano in some capacity.
Portofino.
Oh God, yeah. Your mum, when I told them we were driving to Portofino, almost had a heart attack.
They looked at us like, what do you mean you're going to just go for 8 hours north of here?
Yeah, so no, we were going to Positano, which it takes about an hour and a half if you're going full whack. From Salerno. So that was kind of my dream, and as well just the chance to drive a boat. I'd never driven a boat before, but although I'm very used to water sports, and I've been on boats kind of all my life as well, but I've never driven a boat before. So, but it was just literally put the stick up to go forward, and go fast.
Why not? We'll give it a go.
So we gave it a go, and no issues at all. So they charge you a kind of set day for. I think you can get a half day rate as well, which we didn't realize. And I would say you only need 4 hours. I don't think you need it for the full 8 hours. And there's so many beautiful coves that are actually just around Salerno.
30 minutes away, we found some lovely, like, quiet coves because people kind of wanted to go all the way up, but so many people. There was we found a little diving spot that people were going into a cave as well. And it was gorgeous. And it was literally, I think, the first cove after the port of Salerno. Yeah,
so it's really fun. You go and pick up your boat at 10 a.m. in the morning, and everyone's bringing food and beers and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And in fairness, the boat that we got, it was all brand new fleet. There was like a water shower on board, like a freshwater shower on board. They had a freezer on board. They had diving equipment. They had, or not diving equipment.
Well, they had snorkels.
No.
Diving miscellaneous.
And they also had pool noodles and stuff like that. So it was fully kitted out, and life jackets, of course.
Yeah, we had a canopy and a sun deck on the front.
Yeah, so it was.
Sun deck was lovely.
It was absolutely gorgeous. Like just the two of us took off. We you can fit up to 6 people on one boat. Although I'd say 6 people would feel very, very cramped if you were on it for the day. But perfect for 4.
Yeah,
perfect for 2. Perfect for 4. And then we also, whilst we were sitting in one of the coves.
Oh yes.
Do you want to talk about the couple?
The best boat ever.
Our dream job.
Yeah. So we were sitting there, and all of a sudden we just heard a boat beeping its horn coming around the cove. And we looked up and we're like, that says HB on the side. And we were like, what the hell? And they were kind of waving at us. And we're like, holy shit. They're selling ice cream. So they just pulled up alongside of us, threw us a rope. We pulled them in. What do you want? 2 cornettos, please. Yeah, that'll be this much. I think we didn't realize at the time, but I was told later by local that they actually sell beer as well, which is great to know. I wish we knew. But absolute dream job.
I know. Could you imagine doing sailing the Amalfi Coast selling ice cream?
And it was just a young couple who were tanned as absolute fun.
Yeah.
And just going up the coast being like, oh, this is my
They were
job.
Absolutely stunning as well.
Yeah, they looked like models. It was ridiculous. They're selling ice cream on the Amalfi.
Yeah, but now just to bear in mind that you can't, once you set off from the dock, you can't pull in to any other towns. So you're not allowed dock. Like we went to Positano, but we could only we had an anchor, so we could anchor outside, but we weren't allowed to pull up to any of the docks. So it's not as if you can drive there, pull into a dock, and then go and explore Positano or anything like that. You can only anchor from the outside. But it was absolutely gorgeous. Obviously, you can set your anchor down.
Yeah.
Eat your sandwiches, go swimming, do whatever you want. We came back about 2 hours early. We got in about 4. We'd had enough of it that day. The heat was belting down. You got burnt to a crisp.
Burnt to an absolute crisp.
Now that was slightly my fault as well, because I was feeling a little bit seasick when I wasn't driving the boat. So I just drove the boat the entire time, and I was kind of just standing up and under the shade, whereas you were a bit more out in the sun, so you got sizzled alive.
Sizzled alive?
But
that's why I asked to drive on the way back in, so I could just get the shade. Let me stand on the canopy more, please.
Yeah. So I'd say get it for 4 or 6 hours for 2 or 4 people.
Yeah.
And we ended up, because we had driven so far, again, you wouldn't have to drive that far again. But yeah, so we paid a €200 deposit in cash when we got there, and they kept 100 for the diesel. So you pay for the diesel once they read the meter when you get back.
So €280 total.
€280
for 6 hours.
So you definitely can find cheaper. I've since realised go down to the docks and chat to someone.
Make a friend with Anmoade or anyone that knows him, and then you'll be laughing.
Or just ask anybody in like a locals kind of bar or a locals restaurant there, and just ask them and say, we'd really love, because they'll definitely know somebody who owns.
He told us he could get us one for €70 for one day. Yeah. So I'm going through him the next time, that's for sure.
Definitely. But even at €280, if you split it 4 ways, well worth the money. Like one of the best days.
Oh my god, lifetime experience. Seeing the Amalfi from the coastline itself on your own boat is a bucket list. Like,
so just to touch on 1 or 2 other bits in terms of fun, there's loads of museums, there's loads of art galleries, even though it is quite small. Good bit of shopping to be done there if shopping is your thing. They've got a big high street there with loads of all the regular kind of shops. There's a big castle up on a mountain that you can go and see, and obviously you can go and tour all the rest of the Amalfi Coast by car, by boat, whatever you kind of want. So I think Salerno was an amazing base. There was also a literature festival on while we were there as well, even though we didn't get to check out any of those events. But there seems to be quite a good number of festivals and events and music events going on there all the time.
It seems like it has a nice deep cultural, but it's very relaxed feeling to it, you know. Kind of like Galway, but refined and warm.
On the coast.
Just warm.
That you can actually go for a swim and not die of the cold.
Not over tourized yet.
So value for money, what did you think?
Well, I think Salerno was one of the best values for money in the entire holiday.
Absolutely.
Easily, hands down. Like, the food was so cheap and the quality was just incredible. Accommodation, cheap chips, boat experience, even as it was, well worth it. So
I think transport, accommodation, super cheap. Food, you could go as expensive as you wanted if Emanuele has worked with you in some Michelin star restaurants. So obviously, the second time we went back, he was bringing us to like kind of more austere places rather than just the touristy places.
He brought us to a high end like wine tasting venue that had a courtyard and like mini tapas and gourmet. Like they were going for a Michelin star level of fine dining, contemporary. So
there really is all levels. There's cheap as chips. There's noodle stuff there. There's all that kind of crack. Then there's kind of like your middle tier of like your traditional osterias
and trattorias.
And then there is actually quite a good high level food scene there as well. So
the street food scene is very good as well. Like there's all these little late night stalls that pop up and they're incredibly full, different cuisines. There's a lot of different influence in Salerno. Like there was some kind of like Turkish style kebabs and everything else, and it's incredible kind of.
I would just say our one piece of advice that we did get from Emanuele was, do take the risk, do go to the restaurantes, do go to that like kind of, because you can get a Michelin quality level dish or meal out there for the price of what it would cost you for a regular kind of pub grub in a pub in Ireland. So you can get like some of the best seafood in the world. And they had other options as well. If you're not into seafood, you can get your pizzas, you can get your pastas. A gorgeous truffle pasta. They're the best truffle pasta, and we bloody live in Florence now, you know. So they do have different options for people. But just don't try and stay away from those kind of regular.
No, you never know, because like if you see a small little quiet restaurant on the corner and it's family and it has dal 19 something, you know, we've seen restaurants 1912, 1910. And it's just old staff that are family and been working there for years. You know the food is going to be cooked by some nonna in the back. Like some sweet little 90-year-old grandmother who's slating out fresh prawns for 80 years. And it's the best food of your life. So take the risk, follow your gut, go for the restaurants that are just like charming but old, like just traditional.
Any extra info, tips, or overall experience that you want to give?
No, overall now I have to say Salerno was a perfect mix between quiet and kind of Naples nightlife, kind of, you know, cultural. It was very relaxing there. It was beautiful. It was a really nice atmosphere. I really enjoyed it.
I would just say that I think it's a really good mix, but I do think that the city is halved down the middle. There's the new tourist side and there's the old tourist side. And obviously we were going for the old tourist side. I feel like if you were going to the new tourist side, I think you'd be a little bit disappointed. I think you'd be better off going to like a lot of places in southern Spain. if you just wanted that like hotel, pool, beach. I think it's just a little bit small for that. Whereas if you're going for the old school, you want the good food, you want the seafood, or you want the beaches on the bar, or bars on the beaches.
Beaches on the bar. Yes.
You know, and you wanted to sit out and have a few really good bottles of wine.
Yeah.
And tapas all feckin' day.
All day and all night if you can.
Yeah, that's definitely your spot. And I think if you can't afford to go to the likes of Portofino, and after being there, I'm delighted because we had to stop off in Portofino and Almalfi when we were getting the ferry, and we could see the amount of tourists that were actually in those places. And also Portofino was on a giant bloody hill.
Huge, it was straight up. It was just a cliff. Like, boom.
Whereas Salerno was like super flat and just really, really relaxing, really nice.
It's just an old school, like the humble city. Apparently, it is apparently one of the busiest port cities, apart from like the Bay of Naples.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly it's so nice. It's so relaxing.
Yeah. So I think again, we've already gone back there once. We will definitely be planning to go back there for 2 nights or 3 nights during the summer as well.
Absolutely.
Because it is the best bang for your buck in terms of a seaside town with a beach.
Free beach. No sunbed bullshit, anything like that. Just a humble beach with a little bar on the top of it.
Yeah,
it's great.
And I think in comparison to our next episode, which is another Amalfi episode, which is about Sorrento, I think the two are going to be very, very different in terms of our opinion.
Yeah.
And we know that Sorrento is so popular with Irish people. So I would just recommend, if you are going to Sorrento, even book a few nights in Salerno.
Because it's a good way to save money. It's a nice, relaxing time. It's simple food, done well.
Yeah, and it's only less than an hour on the boat. So
yeah, exactly.
And it's a beautiful boat ride down the Amalfi Coast.
It's a win-win in all scenarios. You get the view on the way down. You've seen the coast, and then you get to stay somewhere that's cheaper and has a more casual feel to it, where you can get nice food, cheap price.
That you're not paying €20 for a sunbed.
God, yeah, for an hour, for 1 hour, €20.
I'll save that for next week's episode. Okay, so we're going to do our marking out of 10.
Woo.
So transport. I'm giving it a 10 straight up. I found it really accessible.
I can't think I can argue with that, to be honest.
Great.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Accommodation. I think our accommodation was brilliant, and it was 10 out of 10, an average of €60 or less a night.
The hosts were absolutely lovely. Like, even with the limited English, they were brilliant. They signed us in, checked us in, asked us was everything okay, and
it was ideal.
It was perfect.
Ideal. Food, I'm giving a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 11 out of 10.
This is not a regular podcast, right, guys? Like, we just love Salerno.
No, Salerno is one of our favourite places to go.
But
it's just,
I've had 2 of the best meals of my entire life in Salerno, and I've had the 2 best meals in the whole of Italy there. So,
same.
Fun.
I mean, the boat love it. A 10 out of 10.
You can boat, you can windsurf, you can parasail. If you don't like that, you can chill on the beach. If you don't like that, you can go to museums or castles. If you don't like that, you can go and tour the Amalfi Coast on a bus tour for the day. Like, there's just so much variation in what you can do.
Ancient Greek ruins as well. An old city that's just like casually there. So,
and there's probably going to be a festival or 2 there while you're on it, and the booze is really cheap. So
I don't know how we can sell it more.
I know, yeah. Value for money.
Just go there. Value for money, again, I have to give it full marks. I can't think of anything that was overpriced. Like, apart from getting the boat a little bit more expensive, was our own fault.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we bump it down to a 9 for that.
I think a 9 for that, because we did find 1 or 2 other places that had extremely good value for money as well.
Yeah.
Naples was extremely good value for money. We found 1 or 2 other places that are just as cheap. And I do feel like for some of the more, your Michelin food and all that, and I don't.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt like, even though we were going to super austere high-end restaurants for some of the time, we were paying kind of like Irish prices.
No, I've gone to like Michelin wine places in London, wine bars that have like fresh made tapas and everything, and like the quality in the one that Manuele brought us to the first time, in the entire like layout, the building, the value they put into it and the quality of the food and the wine, better than But for the value, so much better.
Yeah.
Like it was half the price London was.
Yeah, no, it's just crazy. So in total, we're giving it a score of 98. It's always going to be top of the leaderboard.
We knew that coming into this whole rating system. We were like, Salerno's going to win.
Like, sorry, spoilers.
Yeah, there's no beating that. Like it was the best. Yeah, it was the best experience I think for a city we've had.
So if you guys have any questions about Salerno, please feel free to DM us on Instagram or TikTok. Yeah. We'd be happy to recommend places to stay, places to go. You can download that Excel sheet as well. And yeah, I just can't, like, if you want to go for a weekend away, cheap flights into Naples, if you book them in advance, you can get them for less than 30 quid. Yeah. You can probably get a 2-bed apartment for under 80 quid in the city centre. So if you were a set of couples, breaking that down, €20 per night for each you'd have the most amazing 3 or 4 nights away.
It's a great budget place to go.
Great budget place. Really is. And it's even the same price in the height of summer. Again, would not be recommending it for the old winter, but from March until October,
amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
Even early September would be a lovely time to go.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Any final thoughts, Cormac?
I don't know what more we can say about Salerno, but go there. Just go there. Go there and enjoy. Get some beautiful fresh sea bass and cheap wine and just relax. Take it all in.
Will I book some tickets to Salerno?
Yes.
Okay, yes, let's go back to Salerno. Yeah, we're also living in Florence in the north right now, but if we were to move south,
Salerno would be it.
Yeah.
And I reckon we'll end up there soon.
Yeah.
Someday.
We've been Jane and Cormac. We hope you enjoyed our Salerno episode and come back next time where we'll be talking about the next leg of our trip on the Amalfi Coast, Sorrento. If you liked our podcast, then please subscribe and give us a 5-star review. It's free and it takes just a couple of seconds. You can follow us on socials at altliving.com and you can download our Excel sheet with all of our accommodation, restaurant, transport, experience and budget details for our 6-week holiday on altliving.com. See you next time, guys.
See you next time.